Welcome to the Lithuania Crypto Adoption live event. Today we will have about 1.5 hours where we will illuminate and discuss the findings of the Lithuania Crypto Adoption Survey for 2026, which is part of a Baltic survey together with Estonia and Latvia, and also a summary on the whole of the region. Yesterday, we had a live event for Estonia. The recordings for that is available both on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Kaupr. We will have 2 or 3 different sections in this event. We will have a short introduction with one of the sponsors. Then we will have the findings presented by Magnus Jones and Vetle Lunde. And then about half an hour into the show, we will have local thought leaders and business leaders trying to understand what is happening on the ground in Lithuania and eventually compare it and try to find some clues when it comes to what is driving adoption in the country. So I will then welcome to the stage Jakob Mikkel Hansen from Nordic Blockchain Association. Welcome, Jakob.
Thank you very much, Morten, and thank you very much for hosting.
Yes, and we will have to hear from you what is Nordic Blockchain Association and what is also the relationship to the Baltics as you think of it as of now.
Yeah, so first of all, Nordic Blockchain Association is the largest blockchain association across the region. We have existed for almost 10 years, created by people within the industry because we need and still need a platform to do things like this and educate it. We believe that blockchain is horizontal technology, so just not trading. As well, the way that we like to operate is right now, we are primarily in Scandinavia. We've got board members for each different region. We have 3 different core areas that we do. We've got working group with our members. We have around 50 plus company members and a lot of partners. And what we do in these working group is that we try to create transparency on everything from regulatory challenges, financial challenges, and then we try to educate. So really try to foster both national but as well regional strong ecosystem by solving things in our working groups. Then we do a lot of meetups and conferences, things like this. We think it's important that the industry meets on a national base, but as well on a regional, but as well with the broader world. And that's why we as well do a yearly conference that I can explain a little bit more about. And then we think education is extremely important. So we do data and education. So that's why we're extremely happy to be part of this. Now you put up the conference, and then afterwards I'll elaborate a little bit more about the Baltic and Scandinavia and how we see it. So this year is our 8th annual conference. So we've been doing this for quite a lot of years. This is where we gather all our activities throughout the year. So it's, of course, a conference with a lot of speakers. We're expecting around 1,200 plus participants, 100 plus speakers, but as well, we really try to focus on doing roundtables. So we've got roundtable with banks, we've got roundtable with NGOs, we've got roundtable with other industries. So we really try to make sure this is an occasion where we can meet on a regional basis. So the region can meet, but as well, we can meet with other verticals, but as well, where the global scene can see what we're doing. You asked about the Baltics. So we had a long relationship, I would say, with the ecosystem, but I must admit, I don't think that the ties are strong enough. We really see the new Nordic or the whole region around the Baltic Sea should be looked at once, at one thing. And I think if we stand more closely together, can create a very strong ecosystem. So this is like we did it last year as well, where we're part of this report in the Baltic, but we really just want to foster more interaction between the 2 regions.
Yes, thank you, Jakob. And as everybody knows, this is the first time that is organized a Baltic Crypto Adoption Week, sort of in the same way as we, for a couple of weeks ago, had the Nordic Crypto Adoption Week. And now we will use the same methods, the same type of discussions, and we will also can see the trends across the new Nordics after some time. Thank you very much then, Jakob, for your explanation about the Nordic Blockchain Association. Just also, I would underline that this both the survey And the week has been made possible because of a lot of different partners. And K33, which is both a crypto broker and also a research organization, they have made these surveys back to 2018 in Norway. And as the years have gone by, we have moved it into the Nordics, and now also then cooperating with associations and vendors in the Baltics. So here you can see a lot of the companies that has been supporting this initiative. Thank you then to the sponsors, and we will then move on to the findings, and then we will welcome Vetle Lunde and Magnus to the panel. Welcome to you guys, and we just go directly to the findings because the Lithuanian numbers are really interesting, I would say. And you will then present them, and we will then, in the end of your presentation, make a short summary, and you will also participate in the panel discussion later. So bring it on, Vetle and Magnus.
We will. So welcome everyone. Yesterday we showed the crypto adoption survey results for Estonia with 8.7% of the population owning crypto, down from 9.2% last year. Today we present Lithuania. This is the first time we conduct this survey in Lithuania, so the numbers are very exciting and interesting to delve into. And we can now expand all of the survey data by including Lithuania to get a better understanding of the Baltic region in general. As with all the other countries we have done this survey for, we have utilized Norstat to get a nationally representative panel. They have asked 1,000 respondents from all kind of different demographics. These 5 questions illustrated on this slide. We have people from all kind of age groups living in rural areas or in urban areas, and respondents that encompasses the entire kind of population demographics in Lithuania. So we sent 5 questions. 2 of these questions were directed to all respondents, whereas 3 questions were conditioned on whether or not respondents indicated that they owned cryptocurrencies. We believe these questions give us insights, first and foremost, in how common crypto ownership is in Lithuania, but also how the crypto perception in Lithuania is, if people are expecting to buy in the future. That is a sign of whether or not the population is positively inclined toward cryptocurrency, and whether the narrative around crypto has evolved in that region. Further, we also ask what kind of cryptocurrencies Lithuanians own, the value that they have invested in cryptocurrencies, and then also which platforms they use to buy and sell cryptocurrencies. If you want any more details on how the survey is conducted, feel free to reach out, and we will make sure to answer. Now, let's get straight to the data. So, given that this is our first survey, we don't have last year's results to compare it with, but what we do find is a very strong ownership crypto adoption in Lithuania, with 11.6% of all the adults indicating that they currently own crypto. Keep in mind that in Estonia, this figure was 8.7%. And also keep in mind that the only country in the Nordic that had a higher crypto ownership rate was Sweden. So the current ownership rates from this survey in Lithuania is signaling very high crypto penetration in the country. This 11.6% figure translates to approximately 278,000 Lithuanian adults owning crypto. What we do find when digging into demographical data in the survey is that is similar to what we find in other countries. People living in urban areas, mainly the capital, are more likely to own crypto than people who live in more rural areas. We also see a strong tendency of either self-employed or students owning crypto over pensioners, where only 2.8% of everyone reporting that they are pensionist stating that they own crypto. Further, there is a link between crypto ownership rates and monthly wages. If you earn more than 1,500 euros a month, you are roughly twice as likely to own crypto than if you earn less than 750 euros per month.
And when we look into the age demographics, we see a shape of a curve on the brackets here that we have seen before. Naturally, it's the younger generations who has the largest ownerships towards crypto, where 19% of the respondents are in the age group of 18 to 29 who owns crypto, while in 30 to 39 we are close to 21%. And when it comes to the diversity side and the split between male and female ownership, we see that Lithuania is actually quite strong on this area. We have 17% male ownership, while 6.3% female. It can seem like it's a large diversification between the two of them. However, the Nordic average was only at 4.9% when it comes to female ownership. Estonia, where we looked into yesterday, had only 4.4%. Sweden is at the same level as Lithuania with 6.3%, Norway 5.1%, Denmark 4.4%, and Finland at 3.7%. This gives actually Lithuania a good position when it comes to the female adoption. Unfortunately, we don't have any numbers from last year, but at least you are above the Nordic average in so matter. And if we look into not the total of population, but if we look into the persons who actually owns crypto, we see that almost 1/3 of all crypto owners in Lithuania are female, which again is a strong number, where the Nordics on average had only 23% in so matter. And if we revert the 17 and 6% into numbers, we see that we estimate that it's approximately 193,000 male Lithuanians who owns crypto, while it's estimately approximately 80,000 females in Lithuania who owns cryptocurrencies. Splitting these numbers further into age groups between men and women, we see the same, call it, trend among the men on the curve, that it's the younger generation who has the most. However, we see the strongest presence on the female side in the age group of 30 to 39, and also going up in the 40 to 49 with 5.8%. And we have seen from other regions, interestingly enough, now during also the Nordic surveys, that it's actually the 40+ generation who also has a significant growth here. So that's also an area to follow and take into consideration, and that we will look into further tomorrow when we also have the full comparison after revealing the Latvian data and also comparing all the Baltic data towards the Nordics. So we will have more insights then.
A second question that was directed to all respondents is whether or not they expect to buy cryptocurrencies in the future. 30% of all Lithuanian respondents indicated that they expect to buy crypto within the next decade. This is, compared to both Estonia and the Nordics, a very high number. It suggests that crypto optimism is brewing quite strongly in Lithuania, and it's only comparable to what we saw in Sweden in the Nordics. So it's an interesting figure to discuss later on. Further, we also found that as many as 10% of all the respondents expected to buy crypto within the next year, and a further 6.2% expected to buy crypto within the next 3 years, meaning that 16% of the Lithuanian population expects to buy crypto either for the first time or to buy more already within the next 3 years. While 30% expects to buy crypto, 70% expects to never buy crypto. But still, compared to all the other countries we have showcased previously in this survey, this is a very high figure. Now, if we dig further into who responded what on this question, we can find that it's still overweight amount of males who expects to buy crypto in the future compared to females. So 38% of all the male respondents indicated that they expect to buy crypto within the next decade, whereas 22% of all females stated that they expect to buy crypto within the next decade. If everyone commits to what they expect, this would leave the female to male crypto ownership ratio more or less unchanged to what it is now in Lithuania. But it's still indicative of quite a lot of females and quite a lot of males on the fence expecting to buy crypto in the future. And then looking into the data from an age perspective, we find a chart that is more or less repeating itself across all kinds of surveys. The younger you are, the more likely you are to expect to buy crypto in the future. Nearly half the population aged 18 to 29 expects to be crypto owners within the next decade. And then also 41% of the population aged 30 to 39 expects to buy crypto within the next decade. The future expectations of owning crypto decline almost linearly with age. So within the 60 to 74 age brackets, only 11% of the population expects to buy crypto in the future. And then if we look at this question and then filter out people in the survey who has indicated that they currently own crypto, and also people in the survey that has indicated that they not own cryptocurrencies currently, we can figure out how likely current crypto owners are to expect to buy crypto in the future, and also what non-owners expect to do in the future. What we find unsurprisingly is that roughly 85% of the current Lithuanian crypto owners expect to buy crypto in the future. This is similar to the figure that we see across all surveys. Roughly 4 out of 5 current crypto owners, regardless of which country they are based in, expects to buy more in the future. So this has just been a repeated observation. Then also, as many as 23% of the current non-owners of crypto in Lithuania expects to buy crypto for the first time in the next decade, which signals a very robust fundament for more crypto adoption in Lithuania.
And when it comes to the preferred crypto asset classes to hold, we see, non-surprisingly, that Bitcoin is the preferred one with 55%. As number 2, we have Ethereum at 22%. However, when we look into these numbers and compare it, we see that yesterday in Estonia, Bitcoin was at 58%, while Ethereum was at 29.9% in some matter. So the ownership level of ETH in Lithuania with 22% is actually the lowest in the Baltics. We also see that stablecoins are present here with specifically USDT at a much stronger, apparently, a rate compared to USDC, with USDT at 7.8%. Comparing again to Estonia yesterday, USDT was at 12.6% there, and USDC at 6.9. So it could be an indication towards that it's not that wide of a range of stablecoin usage so far in Lithuania compared to the Baltic, compared to the other Baltic countries. We also see that Solana has a strong presence here in Lithuania with 13.8% in so matter. And having said this one, we have to take into concern that these are, call it not just one-to-one. Some people do not want to reveal, others are not revealing everything, but at least we have an indication and we see a trend towards all countries. So it's, call it representative in that kind of way, but we can see also large spread in terms of numbers based upon small differentiations. So we shouldn't see ourselves blindly one-to-one, like I mentioned on the stablecoin issue, but it's at least an indication towards it when we compare it to other Nordic countries as well. And same goes with this slide. Where do Lithuanians prefer to acquire and purchase and trade their crypto? And we see here that Revolut has a strong presence of 44% of where Lithuanians prefer to trade their crypto. Compared to Estonia, Revolut was there only at the 15%, so that's quite significant compared to it. Binance also has a strong presence in Lithuania, together with Coinbase as two of the major international ones. Comparing again to Estonia yesterday, Binance there was at 29%. Here we are at 22%. And Coinbase, we're at 13% in Estonia, and here we are at 10%. We also see on the left side that the local exchanges of SpectreCoin, BitCastle, etc., they are at a fairly low level compared to the others. And this has also varied a lot from country to country, that we would more than happy to discuss further with the expert panel afterwards. But there are various different reasons, like we saw also in Estonia yesterday, whether or not you're offering more or less, call it B2B services, or if it's more on the consumer side also. So there's lots of different variations coming in here, but clearly we see that Revolut is definitely the preferred one. And on the other side of the graph, on the right side, we see the DeFi, the decentralized finance landscape of DEXs, where we see, I would say, a normal trend that we have seen with a couple of percentages in the other Nordic and Baltic countries. While on the further right side, we have the ETPs, the exchange traded products, i.e. where you buy a stock and a share that represents underlying crypto, for example, Bitcoin. And that's only at 1% in Lithuania, while, for example, Estonia had as much as 8%, as we saw yesterday, and where also we have seen a much higher rate, for example, in Sweden, due to tax reasons. So that's also worth noting, that apparently it's not that popular with the ETPs in Lithuania.
And then moving on to the next question, keep in mind that both the questions related to what you own, where you trade, and also how much cryptocurrency you own is only asked to current Lithuanian crypto owners in the survey. This means that we here look into a subsample of the respondents. So the conclusions here are a bit less statistically valid, but they do provide a good indication and insights on general trends, i.e. We can definitely state that a lot of Lithuanians use Revolut to trade. Similarly, from this ownership or investment size chart, we can see that the tendency is very clear. Most current Lithuanian crypto owners have invested relatively small amounts into crypto. So roughly 1/3 of the current Lithuanian crypto owners owns crypto for less than 100 euros. And then a further 32% owns crypto for less than 1,000 euros. So it is a big concentration in ownership of like smaller invested amounts. This is interesting from two angles. First and foremost, we here show like the common wealth distribution in crypto in Lithuania. We have shown the same chart in other countries previously. It's a bit higher here on the 100 euro end than what we have seen in other countries. So that's a minor differentiator, that the tendency is that current crypto owners have invested less. So that's one of the interesting observations to derive from this. And then the second interesting point to establish is that we introduced this question in Norway a few years back to see whether or not the issue of people not reporting their taxes is as big as it may seem when you look at absolute numbers. So in Norway, it was an issue that relatively few people reported their crypto taxes. But then we drilled into the numbers and we found that most Norwegian crypto owners do not own a lot of crypto. So from there, we derived also that those who tend to report their crypto holdings in their tax bill tends to own relatively more in crypto. So while tax reporting is an issue, it tends to be associated with people owning crypto for small amounts. This is also why we do the exercise as we have illustrated here on this slide, where we estimate the cryptocurrency wealth in Lithuania. We convert the percentages of owners into absolute numbers. So we land on approximately 90,000 people owning crypto for less than 100 euros, and also a further 90,000 owning crypto for less than 1,000 euros. And then we do a median value approach. So meaning that for the bracket of less than 100 euro, we multiply 91,161 with 50 euros to land on an estimated 4.5 million euros of crypto being owned by these 90,000 people. And then we do the same exercise for all kind of income brackets. And we find that while few people have invested a lot in crypto, this is where the crypto wealth tend to be concentrated on a national basis. So we currently estimate that around 500 million euros worth of crypto investments are held by the 5,000 largest crypto owners in Lithuania. But please make sure to remember that this is a back-of-the-envelope calculation approach, and it's predominantly interesting to just showcase that that wealth distribution in crypto, both from a tax angle and also to make a qualified guesstimate on how big crypto investments are in a given country.
So to summarize it all, we have found that 12% of the older population in Lithuania owns cryptocurrencies. That equals to close to 300,000 persons. We heard that there's actually a strong female rate of 6% in Lithuania compared to the men with 17%. As we just heard from Vetle, we estimate that Lithuanians has approximately 983 million euros in crypto wealth. And if we look into the crystal ball for the future, we could expect by 2036 that approximately 30% of all Lithuanians will own cryptocurrencies.
Thank you very much, Vetle and Magnus, for this great presentation. And I would just want to underline or ask one question, because this adoption thing, when we talk about adoption curves, usually people, independent of type of technology or whatever it is, we talk about 2.5% being innovators, and then 13 to 14% being the early adopters. So together that will be 15 or 16%. So all the Nordics and all the Baltics seem to be gaining the traction of the early adopters. But these numbers for the future interest in the Lithuania is quite interesting, because as I understand, it was about 48% that thought that they would invest in crypto. And then we are getting closer to the early majority. Is that the potential for the coming years, Vetle and Magnus?
Yeah, so it was 30% of the respondents that expects to buy crypto in the next decade, not 40, but it was nearly 50% of the young adult population, and that's telling of crypto adoption growing far more common, and also crypto making sort of the leap from a very early stage to a more established stage. And one should also keep in mind that these kind of demographic shifts are also very important, and to keep in mind, current 30 to 39-year-olds will in 20 years time be 50 to 59-year-olds, and people will inherit wealth from their family, and they will have different kind of biases in terms of what you want to own, how you want to invest, and what kind of habits you have. So it's a very, very important core topic to acknowledge, both from a crypto point of view, but also from an outsider point of view, that crypto is gradually becoming more and more popular among the future older adults. So that has second-order implications that is important to keep in mind.
Anything to add, Magnus?
No, I think Vetle summarized it well here. I think we should call it expect also a continuous volatile ride when we are talking about things in the 10-year perspective, but still see the trends of the curves that we have seen that leads into a growth. And this is where I think it's the important elements to understand, like Vetle said, of how everything from in heritage towards what we have also seen in the other Nordic countries, where we actually have data on it, where we look into now for, I think, 6 consecutive years in Norway, for example, where the population underneath the age of 40, they actually own more crypto compared to stocks and shares. And that lifts things into also an interesting perspective going 10 years ahead, which seems like a long time. It might not be. So that's why I think we have a reasonable, good indications that we will see such a growth over time.
That's interesting. Thank you very much, Vetle and Magnus, so far. You guys will also participate in the panel after we have started it with the local thought leaders and business leaders. And so I will welcome to the stage 4 people from the Lithuanian community. And together we are joined by Donatas, Silvinas, Evelina, and Romanas. I don't do the real presentation. Sorry? Welcome to the stage. And I thought that we should start with letting you have the opportunity to give your overview or your takeaways from these findings and compare it with your experience from working in the country on the ground. So maybe we could start with you, Evelina.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As the only woman actually in the panel, I feel obliged to address the topic on the difference between, female and male crypto holders. And here to give a bit more into perspective, I've been thinking what's actually causing the difference and can it be the education? But to be honest, I didn't think so, because if you look at the overall the Lithuanian population, 73% of adult women are educated, comparing to 50% of men. So it looks like females are much more educated on that side. However, if you look at the occupational segregation and what's actually beneath that education, is that we could see that, for example, women are more into the health sector, into the arts, into teaching, and so on. And men actually are into the technologies, into the math, and that could be one of the reasons why are they kind of closer and investing more. Another observation could be also the income gap, because what also was mentioned by the presenters, that the more person earns, the more basically they invest into crypto as well. They are eager to try something else. And in Lithuania, we have approximately 13% of 13% gap between male and female in terms of their income. So basically, men earn on average 13% more. So that could be another reason. And then, of course, the psychological factors, the risk appetite, right? Men are usually tended more to risk more and try new different things, and women, they prefer to stay on a safer side. So that's basically putting everything into the bigger perspective. But an interesting correlation actually might be observed into the overall women investing their funds, right? Because in Lithuania, at least in Lithuania, that's for sure, that we are used to see that man is the one who is handling the family finances. They are the ones who are investing and so on. But happy to see that in the last 3 years, we can observe the growth of women investing by 186%. So my estimation and understanding would be that in upcoming few years, we would definitely be basically closing the gap, and more women would be holding the crypto assets. And that actually makes me very happy. And I look forward to see, such survey results for many years in upfront, because currently that's the first year when we have the numbers. But really curious how that's going to change, because looking at the correlation between the investment portfolio overall, investing their funds, and crypto owners, I see huge potential that it definitely can happen, and that this gap going to be basically closing within upcoming years.
Thank you very much, Evelina. And maybe you don't know it, but Kaupr, we have also, together with the community in the Scandinavia, we have organized what is called Crypto Diversity event. It was in March. And obviously, we next year have to invite people like you, Evelina, to build on this momentum further on. Then we will continue with Donatas, and Donatas will have to leave us a little early. So, but your takeaways then, Donatas. Yes, your sound is off.
Hi, Martin. I'm on, I hope so. Hello, everyone. The service is amazing. Actually, you showed me the real life by country. So we have around 12% of residents who do investments. Many banks did researches how many residents, affluent, high net worth individuals, do investment in stocks, bonds, and so on. Now we see that all these people do investment in crypto. So a lot we have residents who are early adopters. They're trying to use new tools, and the trend is good. And what regards the ladies, yes, it's true. Unfortunately, men's eager to have more risk on investment. That's why probably men do a lot of business in crypto. But nevertheless, ladies are learning and getting good insights and coming to these markets as well. So wonderful survey, and I hope that next year the numbers will be 2 times bigger.
Thank you very much, Donatas. And then we will continue with Silvinas, your takeaways from the findings. You are muted.
Yeah, hello everyone. Nice to be here. Thank you for your invitation, Morten. I would like to focus a little bit on the participants of the market who have divided the market share between themselves. as the survey shows, we have 2/3 of the market distributed by just two players, being Revolut and Binance. And they actually both headquartered or were headquartered out of Lithuania. So it's no surprise that the market really trusts them. So, for example, Revolut actually started in Lithuania almost a decade ago with distribution of free payment cards to young customers mainly. And probably that's also taking its effect that the customer base is more attracted to crypto investments. Currently, Revolut is holding its banking license from Lithuania and France, serves over 70 million customers across the world, but their headquarters are still based out of here, out of Vilnius. So the trust factor is really big. Now, on the other hand, historically, with Revolut, your balance reflected the contract amount tied to crypto asset. It wasn't a real Bitcoin holding. You were not able to withdraw it to blockchain. But as we see, the trust factor is really bringing a customer base. So even though Revolut did not pursue its MiCA license in Lithuania, they got it from Cyprus. It's still a very well-established and trustworthy brand in consumer minds. And even though there were some hiccups with regulators, the trust factor is huge for this brand. And I would forecast that it will continue on the path of market leadership in Lithuania. Now, maybe when it comes to Binance, the story is a little bit different. Yes, they were the first ones to start here in Lithuania as well. But as of today, they're still in regulatory limbo. Well, Lithuania did take one of the hardest lines on MiCA enforcement in Europe. And even though it's one of the biggest or the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, they still do not have their license to operate beyond July the 1st. They did apply in Greece. In Greece, they do not have a single MiCA license issued yet. So there might be some hiccups in terms of redistribution of the market pie, so to say, depending on how the regulatory journey will end up for this big brand. So at the same time, we have both the stability and at the same time a little bit of change upcoming in the local market.
I thought that could also be one topic that we can elaborate a little more on going further. But first, your takeaways, Romanas. You're muted. Yeah.
Yes. So excellent takeaways from my colleagues and from Lithuania. And indeed, Revolut is really strong, created strong crypto adoption base here. But let's think about what actually friction was a couple of years ago, in an early adoption stage where it was the crypto was just an experimentation ownership, moving towards the next adoption phases in this region. So first of all, what was the technology friction, and it was effectively solved with many platforms offering crypto to the customers. Then it was the compliance friction, when everybody were learning that they need to present their passport and their proof of address, and it was a huge onboarding friction, which is now effectively solved via a lot of online verification measures and overall awareness of users about the necessity of this. And I think this already we're already evidencing that this take up with the adoption is already past that. So what's the next? So next, I think it could be the adoption of the crypto for actual payments, because now with the amount of stable coins in the holdings, as you see, it may signal that it's still premature, for usage of regular user, for crypto as a payment means. It's just more of accumulation of the wealth, speculation, long-term investment, something like that. So I think this will be the next big thing. You know, the stable coin use should take up, you know, and it will be driving the adoption. But, you know, what is over the corner? The next friction is a tax friction, which creates actually a huge and comfortable truth for us that, you know, the authorities will be implementing DEC 8 CARF, frameworks. And users will be aware of that, you know, because of the public releases, and it will scare off some of them, you know, because they are maybe hiding taxes, you know, via crypto, but because of the complexity of actual declaring of trades, declaring of ownership, of the capital gain. So that should be worked, you know, at the association level first, and then should be, you know, like advised, like a blueprint for the authorities, you know, how to further educate users, you know, and, you know, reignite the adoption, I would say.
Thank you, Romanos. Maybe we could explore a little more about this Revolut story, because Revolut is also a neobank, and that is also part of the adoption that is happening all over the world. So what is the main driver in the Lithuania? Is it the local presence? Evelina?
So taking it probably a slightly higher perspective, what overall drives, for example, the usage of crypto, right? And we'll come to the Revolut, how that helps, but taking from the, big picture, what I think drives crypto usage is, first of all, the necessity. So why we, for example, see quite good adoption of cryptocurrencies in Latin America or in some Africa countries, because people don't have, access to the regular banking, or they have to preserve their value of their assets in something, right? So that helps. The necessity of having something, some alternative, helps, to preserve their value, to come to the innovation and so on. Another factor what helps a lot, and where Revolut actually comes into the picture, is the technology, right? Whenever you have an access to good, reliable platform, friendly to use, it makes it easier for you to try something. Because to buy crypto on Revolut, even though Žilvinas rightfully mentioned at the beginning, you were not actually the owner of that, but still it gives you a quick possibility, a quick action. You can, within the seconds you can buy, you see very nice distribution, what do you own, how much, you convert it to euro, how the price changes and so on. So technology here helps a lot. That's basically a no-brainer here. And another thing, the last one, I guess, is the regulation. Whenever, what Romanas addressed as well quite a lot about taxes and the situation there. And whenever you feel that you know how to work with this, how to work with the cryptocurrency and what to expect there, that you know that if you buy something, you won't be, punished or put into jail, or nobody will say that you are hiding something for that, because for at this stage the majority still believes that crypto is a scam, or who uses the crypto? The ones who want to hide the assets or to launder money and so on. So I guess all those three topics. And coming back to the technology, I think Revolut did a huge breakthrough for Lithuania, having the headquarters here and having the actual friendly user interface, which helps people to buy it easy, to have an access to that. And I can only imagine what would happen if major banks would add to their portfolio the possibility to buy crypto. If you could buy crypto on Swedbank account, if you could do that in SEB Bank within the app what you have for the regular banks, like that would be a huge game changer, I guess. And that also would cover both, I guess, the technological part and accessibility for that, and also the regulation part, because whenever you see that the big bank offers something, it's kind of safe then to use.
There are things happening in on the global scale. For instance, the other day, Charles Schwab, which is a major broker in the States. They are offering not only ETPs or ETFs, but also now launching real crypto assets, if you could call it that. So of course, when you have a player like Revolut, which is both a fintech and then also a crypto offerings, they are sort of serving two different purposes. And is that the way we are going, or will we now see more of the local players taking an opportunity in the Lithuania? As I understand, the Lithuania has gone from sort of a chaotic situation for some years ago, because everybody sort of could put up a crypto service. That was also the case with the Estonian. In Estonia, they have gone totally the other way, so there's nobody that are approved. What is the situation in Lithuania? Are the possibilities for the local players? What do you think about that, Silvinos? And maybe after that, Romanos.
So I'd say, we only have 4 players now in Lithuania who have been granted the MiCA license from Bank of Lithuania. It's hard to say if the market will grow by maybe a few more licenses this year. Hopefully that happens. But it's fair to say that the majority, as you say, chaotic virtual asset service providers have exited the country. They have exited Estonia, probably going to happen this year as much. And the market is focusing on maturity now, at least from the regulator's perspective. They're willing to attract bigger international brands and trustworthy players coming into the industry. However, considering that some of the biggest crypto exchanges have already been granted licenses with the exclusion of Binance, I don't anticipate that there's going to be a big influx of new global players coming into the local market. Having said that, MiCA grants you a pan-European freedom. So independently of where your license comes from, you're free to operate anywhere across the European market, and that's the beauty of it. Which means that we will have players who have been granted license, be it in Ireland or in Germany or in Austria. They will all be participating here and dividing the pie between the existing market players. Maybe to comment on the success of Revolut, as Evelina has also mentioned it, the biggest challenge of a crypto exchange is on-ramping. And how do you actually bring the money into an exchange? And with Revolut, that wasn't even a question, because they were the custodian of the assets of the customers as a bank. So in a way, it eliminated that problem and the challenge. And at the same time, the fact, what I mentioned before, the free distribution of cards for young generation, as we saw, the demographics are skewed towards the younger generation. So it matured, it grew up, and now they're investing into crypto.
Okay, then. We are sorry to say that Donatos have to leave us. He has been in between meetings. So we thank you, Donatos, and look forward to see you again. Also, then we will move on to Romanos and your thoughts about the MiCA process and opportunities for local players in Lithuania.
Yes, so I see, I know, I'm somehow, continue what Žilvinas said, that actually the major landscape of platforms in Lithuania that are used by Lithuanians and by Baltic region, people to access crypto is already covered by MiCA, and that's the good point from the user protection perspective. Because what is most important for the B2C users, for retail users of crypto, is a reliance and the customer protection mechanisms within the exchange. So if the major entry point for Lithuanians is Revolut, is not even just a crypto asset service provider, it's more than that. It's a bank. It's a neobank. So that's really, igniting the overall. It's not important that, there's a Cyprus license, but it's an established Lithuanian entity, overlooked, by Bank of Lithuania in other dimensions. So that's a huge thing. Then maybe the next wave of MiCA licenses in Lithuania would be that then Lithuania will be more visible abroad, because maybe our Lithuanian licensees will be more active, not directly competing with the big sharks here in Lithuania, but going global. So that's maybe the aspect. But this safety of the user, like all the acknowledgements, the in-app, explanations, and additional measures to secure funds is very important. Also, the educative campaigns of such platforms, they are investing funds, which are not very abundant in the government level, at the association level. So these market participants do invest a lot in the educational materials, not even because they're so nice and smart, but because it's a regulatory requirement. Then, of course, another small peculiarities is the downtime of the platform. If it's so strong platform like Revolut or Bybit, it's literally zero downtime. It creates confidence as well. The seamless tax reporting, what was introduced 5 years ago by big Swedish banks in Lithuania, was like one-click reporting, or even zero-click, even your like bank reporting to your tax authorities or your ledger, and then generates the tax declaration draft. It was a huge thing, and then the next wave will be with this crypto adoption, with such futures and at the platform level. And the last one is, of course, the ability to use the stable coins for payments, not the volatile crypto, but the stable coins on the raise. So this is all the good things, for crypto adoption. But like with all these positive things, negative things comes up again, and that's rising, scams via biggest, platforms, like scammers saying, "Oh, just buy a crypto on Revolut and send to my blockchain wallet." So that's happening, irreversibly, and it creates some bad news moments. But thank God we have this MiCA on the rise now. Regulation is tightening this type of oversight, and we hope that it's timely and will be not a big obstacle for the future crypto adoption in the region. Thank you.
When you have the word, Romanas, I will do, and you started also to talk about payments and stable coins. Are there here any vendors or innovation happening in the Lithuania? Because my impression is that the Baltics are quite good at fintech. And that should sort of also maybe fintech 2.0 is stablecoins or the new payment rails or whatever. What are your thoughts about that, Romanas?
Yeah, Martin, this is more of a B2B story,
I know.
because the Lithuanian residents don't, trade with LATAM, frequently. They use instant payment, like fiat instant payments all over the Europe, and use all this, person-to-person, payments seamlessly in fiat. But in B2B, it's a huge thing, it's happening now and as we speak.
Yes, and as I underlined in the start of this panel, that even the numbers we have is only for the retail investors. They have been asked 1,000 people in Lithuania, but adoption is of course also dependent on how the authorities are behaving and how the industry is developing new services. And what is happening in the global scale right now is stablecoin, it is tokenization. So therefore, we will follow up now also with Silvinas. What are your thoughts about payment and stablecoins?
So stablecoins is a new big thing in crypto, especially end of 2025, beginning of 2026, both from regulatory perspective and from consumer adoption on one hand. For example, as a survey showed, we only have 8%, if I'm not mistaken, stablecoin exposure, sitting at USDT, so the Tether, which is, if you look at it, it's not even a compliant stablecoin in the European Union anymore. But we still have consumers holding these funds. It could be maybe self-custody wallets. So Tether has not pursued their MiCA compliance, and they're not even authorized to issue USDTs in the European Union. On the other hand, you could probably say that the absence of euro-based stable coins is another real story, maybe not such a good one. It's more of a European-wide problem that we are over-regulating the market, that the global participants or the global innovation is not happening within EU. We are following the global trends and introducing stablecoins only when the market has matured to some extent. So it's a good thing that it's evolving, it's coming. But on the other hand, the market is already matured, and dividing the pie will be rather a tough nut to crack. On the other hand, probably we could say that SEPA Instant works pretty well, and within European Union, euros are also a valid mean of payment. So it's probably more for cross-border payments that we could see stablecoins getting more of an adoption.
What are your thoughts then, Evelina?
I completely agree. Looking from the B2B perspective, even from overall the clients, how they execute their payments, we can see that SEPA Instant is completely covering, Europe, because we don't have any problems with the instant transfers, and euro, is quite used currency for payments across the Europe. But when we speak about the SWIFT network, then this is where the stable coins actually come into the play and can play a huge role there. Because imagine if you as a supplier wants to be paid, I don't know, you are somewhere in Latin America and somebody from Europe has to pay to you, then you have to wait for weeks and to get your payment. And then the one who is paying has to cover multiple exchange fees, and then charges from multiple banks for the payments and so on. When with crypto, with a stable coin, you can simply convert from euro to USDC or USDT or whatever currency you prefer, and then transfer within the seconds, right? And then convert back on your end whenever you receive, and convert to the currency what you prefer. So that could be definitely a game changer, and we see this adoption from our major customers, that whoever do some deals across borders and who have to use the SWIFT, they are slowly shifting towards the stable coins. And that's where, the innovation happens, when actually you need to combine the traditional finance, the fiat, together with the crypto, and that completes the offering.
Okay, we will then also invite Vetle and Magnus back to the stage. And you have been listening also to the thought leaders discussion, the local representatives here in Lithuania. And are there any surprises, or is it aligned with what you thought? Magnus, you have been also, of course, traveling a lot in the Baltic, so maybe you are already having the insight that you need.
Yes, I had the great pleasure of meeting, among others, Romanas and others key players from the Lithuanian ecosystem at the Unblock conference this week, or last week in Riga. And naturally, there's lots of different, call it, movements that we see is happening in the region. So I wouldn't say any of the numbers comes to me as a big surprise in general. It's so many different levels that we are talking about, like we touched upon when we had the Estonian stream yesterday also. On everything from, call it, consumer side, that is more visual on what is being offered by bank XYZ, or if it's more on, call it, the institutional, on the retail side, the business to business side also. That's totally different products and offerings that we're talking about in general. So Again, I would say numbers not surprising at all. It's more like Evelina talked about, as we saw also quite surprising numbers in Latvia when we revealed that one during the UNBA conference that we will look into tomorrow when it comes to female adoption and how you can actually explain it. That's more of the cracking nut here compared to the Nordics. But other than that, I would say it follows a trend that I've seen for many years. Baltics, Lithuania included, of course, are driving innovation at so many different levels. So that also reflects why they are there, I would say.
Anything to add, Vetle?
No, I agree with what Magnus has said, and also would like to add on the like Revolut Binance activity in Lithuania that it's completely natural due to the strong regional presence that both companies have there. It makes Lithuania a very different country compared to all of the Nordics. So it's completely natural that these venues are so dominant compared to the rest of the Nordics. And it establishes a very solid ground for Lithuania to see even more expansion of both crypto owners and also of the bigger part of the crypto industry within the country.
I also just wanted to add another topic about the tokenization of real world assets, or whatever you call it. It can be gold, it can be green energy, it can be regular stocks and bonds. And in Lithuania, you guys have a company which is called Axiology, and they have been quite heavily funded and going into the European atmosphere to present a new platform, as I understand it. And is that part of the industry opportunities in Lithuania? What do you think, Romanas?
Yeah, so that's a big move in tokenization and crypto adoption, but let's not call it yet another platform, because they're actually on-chain solution. So they basically create the blockchain for trading, for settlement and custody of securities. And this is like not just a intermediary, framework, but rather the native tokenization of any type of securities. So this is under the DLT trading, DLT pilot regime in EU. So they were first adopters, but this was the European Union that proposed this type of implementation, and they took one of the first. Hence the funding, hence the attention from media and from the industry professionals. We're tightly watching, this, and this is a Lithuanian one of the future gems.
Maybe you also want to add some to this topic, Silvinas?
Yeah, so RVAs or real world assets is a very hot topic. It's both for MiCA and beyond that. Actually, an interesting Lithuanian case, maybe Robinhood got its first MiCA case, and I think 2 weeks down the road, they issued tokenized stocks of the entities that are not even listed in stock exchanges. So consumers were being offered to buy SpaceX, if I'm not mistaken, and a few other entities. There's a lot of discussion happening with the regulatory bodies. What are the users actually getting? What is the title, right? What are they actually buying? I know a few other MiCA regulated exchanges. For example, Kraken has issued a similar product. So probably it's gonna take traction across not only Lithuanian market but across European Union as a whole. You could probably say that it's a huge industry. It's counted in billions, but the single biggest legal obstacle is does token equal to title? And in many times there are certain intermediaries involved, which involves additional risk. So maybe Lithuania could be the first or one of the first EU countries to grant some statutory recognition of DLT-based registries, but that's totally for the government to actually make a recognition of specific asset classes. We do not have it yet. It's a big opportunity. I think as a whole, for regulators, new technology, it's a tough topic. It takes time for them to understand, to explain, but definitely a big opportunistic area to look into.
As I understand that Revolut has been sort of a mover into this space in Lithuania, and you could also say that globally things are happening from the fintech or the neobanks, but also from the TradFi, where they are starting to offer crypto in different wrappings, maybe or ETPs or the real thing, or tokenized stocks into their business. And also the crypto exchanges or brokers are moving into the stock area or the through tokenization. And are we seeing that these players will maybe in some years be the same business? What do you think about that, Romanas?
Yeah, I think that any derivative products are even the subject of the MiFID regulation, and this is a way our local ecosystem of the fund managers, wealth managers are really well prepared and educated. I think if your survey would touch the high net worth individuals out there, somehow, you would see a completely different picture of the crypto adoption in terms of the portfolio structure. But it's really a big involvement here. And the recent MiCA license from Myriad Capital, this MiCA assets, was issued, directly to the company which is associated with the fund management and wealth management. So this is a really already a reality for us, and it's only a question about what a typical retail user want to buy. So if he would like to buy an exposure, a kind of buying risk, buying the appreciation potential, then even though those intermediary platforms without the real ownership, just an exposure like Kraken or Robinhood, does the good job, especially giving their customer protection and the overall stability of the platform. On another side, if we would like, really into the fractional ownership, into the real verifiable custody on chain, which is more important for real estate, for gold, for things like that, then you should look like into the solutions like Axiology offers, which is on chain, and also another type of native tokens connected to the real world assets. So then it comes to your educated part of yourself, giving your time to read the materials to understand this, and it's really a long learning curve. So if you want to fast exposure, or you have a longer journey into that ecosystem, we have both ways well represented. Both infrastructures are perfectly laid out in Lithuania and in the whole Baltics. So I guess we will see big numbers in this department as well.
Also, you, Evelina, have some thoughts about traditional finance versus crypto, but not on maybe the investment side, but maybe on the payment side?
Yeah, probably, elaborating what was said before, that I guess where the biggest benefit comes is in the combination of everything, right? Of the traditional financing and of the crypto side, whenever we can combine under the one hood, all investment with euro, like the old school, buying bonds and shares and ETFs, executing payments with euro, dollar, crypto, and then adding up like all the innovators and tokenization possibilities like Axiology. I think if that could be combined into one bundle and be offered somewhere in one platform, that of course would be a huge benefit. And but overall, looking at this combination, I think it has huge potential, because that definitely takes time. If we look, even if we look back in time, when cash was the king and the queen and the everything, right? And then the MasterCard and Visa and overall the card payments were introduced. And I think we are speaking about the 50s and 60s. But the mass adoption of that happened only in 2010, and when everybody basically switched to the card payments, and that took time. So I think that if we are looking to the future, that whole combination of traditional financing and the crypto has huge potential, and that's definitely going to happen. We just need a bit more of a time.
Now we are going towards the end of this show, and we will give everybody in the panel opportunity to give their outlook and what can happen the next year. Maybe if there are some milestones related to Mika or other things. Romanos started to talk about the frictions. It could be technology, it could be adoption, it could be tax, it could be reporting, whatever. And will those frictions get away going forward, or do we still have some hurdles to pass before we get the real mass adoption? What do you think about that, Romanos?
Yeah, Morten, I think that all those frictions, let's say, they are not coming out of the blue, they are very much, or seen in advance, they're being debated in the industry. Look at the DEC 8 and CAR frameworks on the crypto asset reporting to the tax authorities. It is discussed already for 5 years, maybe, and a lot of different, industry panels in Europe, at least, they specifically mention Lithuania case as a very early prepared, ecosystem for that. So I think, something is already being prepared for future frictions as well. So let's say, I don't think that tax reporting will be a friction already. It's being solved, it's being watched by the industry and developed as a part of their products. I think the next big friction could be the FX. I mean, the stable coins, in order to fully, embrace them in the Europe, you need the euro-denominated stable coins, because regular users, they don't want to take a, euro to USD FX risks, and they don't understand this, and they want to get rid of this. So this will be the major next big thing, in the industry in our region in crypto adoption.
And then to you, Silvinas, you started out underlining the strength of the global exchanges, and especially then on Revolut, and you talked about trust. And what is the main hurdles or opportunities going forward in your view, maybe for the next year?
So I'd say, the biggest thing that we're facing is July 2026 MiCA cliff, and the market will definitely change. If we sit here next year, probably we'll see different kind of results. Every crypto platform that's currently operating in EU without MiCA license will, in essence, be shut down in 3 months' time. And that will definitely be reshaping the way the market is. And speaking for Lithuania, we have 22% of the market taken by Binance, which is hopefully gonna go as planned. But if not, then we'll have 25,000 roughly consumers having to choose a different provider. So certain market maturing events will happen until or during this year. But in essence, I feel optimistic. I think the market is maturing. People are getting to understand that the risks involved with crypto. Yes, it comes at a cost, but I'd say any new technology, like for example the .com one, it came at a cost. And I still feel positive in a positive way. I think things will work just out well for crypto.
Just a fact-based question to you, Silvinas, because do you have a so-called grandfathering period in Lithuania, or is it past?
So yes, Lithuania chose to take the hardest line on the grandfathering period. It was originally at the middle of 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Then it got extended for until the 31st of December. But currently we're out of grandfathering period, so any entity operating in Lithuania has to be MiCA licensed.
Okay, interesting. So what can happen with Mika is on both that the Lithuanian companies can go abroad and also that the European players can go into Lithuania. So both things may happen. Evelina, what are your thoughts about the next 6 to 12 months?
Actually, I can agree with Jelen that from my perspective, I also think that the future for crypto and crypto adoption is overall quite bright. And now when the change in transition happens, nobody loves it, right? Nobody loves to be regulated. Nobody loves to be introduced with huge requirements and be, all the compliance procedures and policies and stuff like this. But I think looking at the longer horizon, that's going to help. That will help for people, for the consumers to be safe. That will help for adoption overall of crypto. And I think the combination of two, the regulation, technology, and improvement in that area, definitely going to drive the adoption of crypto. And we'll see more and more users utilizing and finding the ways how to utilize. And of course, from a personal perspective, I would like to see the gap between female and male closing, and closing rapidly.
Yes, you hoped it would happen in 2-3 years' time. So let's hope that will be the case. Then to you, Vetle, you are every year opening those spreadsheets and trying to find what are the facts on the ground saying. And this time you had no history on Lithuania. So were you surprised? And what do you think of the way going forward?
I wasn't really surprised. It was on the higher end in terms of adoption and also like crypto perception based on our interpretation of people's intentions to buy crypto in the future. But it was well within what we are seeing in other countries. It is quite telling of a relatively positive crypto outlook in Lithuania compared to some of the other countries that as many as 10% of the population expects to buy in the next year. So this is telling of a very promising wave of grassroots adoption. And as I can understand, it will be a lot of developments to the industry in the next few months as the Mika cliff is approaching. But at least what our data confirms is that crypto is popular in Lithuania and that the grassroots adoption is likely to continue to grow in the coming year, and that the perception is positive.
Magnus, you is also a board member and a Norwegian representative of Nordic Blockchain Association in Norway, and you have been also traveling a lot in the Baltics. And is that a part of the way going forward, sharing insights, sharing ideas, collaborating, or both between the Baltic countries and also with the Nordics? Will that be a mission for the next couple of years?
Absolutely, I think that's the key because, like we briefly touched upon, I also believe that in the coming year, to answer that question, it's not going to be a revolution of consumers or taxi drivers or grandmas out there on the street begging to have a stable coin for uses of direct payments or buy in on DIP XYZ on the BTC. It's more happening on the back-end infrastructure side, like we talked about. And this is where Lithuania also provides key infrastructure elements and where they have been in this ecosystem for so many years, including also on the TradFi side that is totally key in order to understand how you are to merge this one, because it's not like one is taking over for the other. They will be interconnected, and this is where we need to collaborate. And just like it was mentioned here about call it the dollar denomination and the strong position that the US dollar has, and the initiatives that we see happening surrounding euro in terms of handling this one from the back-end infrastructure side from business to business, or if the banking financial industry in itself. This is where we need even stronger collaboration. in order to ensure that Europe and EEA can move forward also on that side. So clearly, I see a need and an urge to work even closer together in the regions that we are even close on, like the Baltics and the Nordics.
Thank you very much to all, both for the interesting findings and for the discussion that we have had. To Evelina, to Silvinas, to Romanas, but also to Magnus and Vetle. This live event has been part of the Baltic Crypto Adoption Week, which will then close tomorrow, but with two different live events. One for the Latvian findings and discussions with the local panel, but we will also, after 1.5 hours, open a new live event for the Baltics altogether. So then we will compare the findings in the Baltics, but also view them in relation to the findings on the Nordic Crypto Adoption Week a couple of weeks ago. So just tune in tomorrow, and this live event, as well as the Estonian live event, you can still view them as a recording on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on the Kaupr landing page. So we thank you very much and welcome you guys tomorrow.